Hi bobbers, and welcome to this week's YouTube vlog, and I hope we're all okay. Thanks as always for the comments last week. As always, we had some amazing comments, and obviously the people that subscribe as well. Thank you, we do appreciate it. Moving on to this week's vlog, we're going to do another burner rebuild. Okay, so it's at the customer's house. I'm going there to basically do a burner service on a Stanley Cooker. Okay, he's had a few issues in the past with other companies, I believe, a few years ago, and it hasn't been touched for a while. So I'm not going to show you the service of the Stanley itself. I just want to show you the burner side of it, because I'm trying to get a few burners out there so people understand all the differences between the different ones. So that's what we're going to be doing. I'll have his bell with me as always, and let's get on with this week's YouTube vlog. As I was explaining in the van on the way here, we've come to do a Stanley Cooker. We didn't think we'd be allowed to record in the house, so we're not. But I was hoping to do a vlog on the burner out the Stanley, and luckily down there, Isabel, we're outside and there it is, and look at the state of it. And this is exactly what I was saying on my intro. Stanley cookers, because they just sit in the environment they sit in, if they're not done regularly, this happens and they become a nightmare. So this is supposed to be under here a Monoflame, a red Monoflame burner. So it's a bit like the Ecoflam minor one burner, but it's just called a Monoflame, so it's in a different case. And if you look on the outside here, the air adjustment's a little bit different on here. Okay, and then obviously there's your Kofi transformer there, and then you've got your control box here, which I'm going to change because, as you can see, it's got a hole and it's broken up there. Okay, we know it's got very noisy motor bearings on it, so I'm going to have a look into that. And then obviously it needs all this sorting out around here as well. And there's your air intake on there, obviously your blast tube, your motor, you've got your pump there, your coil, normal stuff that you see on everything else. So yeah, I'm going to get some tools and let's strip it. Okay, here we go. So the Hoover's in the house, so might have to go and get it in a minute, but we're just going to bust this off here. Finished. Looks better already. Here we go.
That was satisfying.
So that's very satisfying, as you can see. So we're doing this outside on purpose because of the mess, and we are just in a stone driveway, so that's absolutely fine. Right, so we're just going to get that off around there first. And sorry about the aeroplane. Okay, so we're going to put that on the end. So before you start, the most important thing is just to get the dust off it. It's not really hard, as you can see. We'll just give it a little dust off, and we sort of looks better already. Right, I'm just going to cut this off. Someone sort of stuck it on. That can just have a foam gasket back on there, that's fine. Someone's just sort of made this and then just stuck it on there, as you can see, with some silicone. A little clear. We'll sort that out in a second. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is, like normal, we're going to take the pump off first. So I'm just going to get some tissue, put it in the end, and the reason I do this is I tell people just stop it dribbling everywhere, so it just sticks in the end. And that's a 12mm. So I'm just going to go get a 12mm and I'll be back. Okay, here we go, 12mm. So when you do this back up, don't do it too tight, you'll shatter it, but you can actually buy these nuts and knowledge, but they're like a fiver, it's ridiculous. So we're just going to undo that like so. It can go into there, and then we're just going to get an Allen key, 2.5 I want to say. Let's have a look. Yeah, we're going to undo it. Don't go too far with these because they do tend to fall out. That's one. Have we got one around there? Yep, someone's done it properly before. We've never ever been to this Stanley, so disconnect the coil, over we go, and number 3, and out we come. And as you can see, the pump shaft is not leaking. I'm going to test that in a minute. It's an R3 pump, so it means that you turn it over and it goes this way. So like I said before, we're going to turn it several times this way and then back, and we're going to keep repeating and see if that's stuck, but I can do that shortly. Okay, we'll just put that to one side. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into the air intake. So we've got 1, 2, 1, 2 and 3. That's it. We're going to undo them and we're going to see what's underneath. I expect it to be quite dusty, to be honest. 1, 2. 2 you can loosen because they're on slots, and this one I'm doing now you do have to take all the way out. Put it in the tray.
Wow.
Amazing. Okay, so what I'm going to do is now I'm going to get a brush and I'm going to clear all that out. I'm then going to get a brush and I'm going to clear all that out. I know we've got the fan underneath. Okay, when I've done that, actually, before we do that, we will go for it, Isabel. That's a dusty little punk, this one is. Always mark the position where these go. I know anyway that I know the angle from experience, but obviously usually that small screw there lines up with one of the slots like that. If you put it the wrong way around, that wouldn't do it. So you sort of unhook these, you lift it and you pull it up a little bit, and there we go. So I'm going to just do that in a minute. Okay, and then we've obviously got the fan next. That's very noisy, so as you can hear, that's going to want a set of bearings in that. Okay, but the customer had reported it was noisy, and I mentioned bearings, and he actually said he'd rather put a motor in it. So I'm going to have a conversation with him to see if I can just put bearings in it. If not, that'd be a motor, which we'll show you in a minute. So I'm going to show you a bit more inside here in a little while, because as you can see, it's absolutely filthy. So this is one where we can actually show you how to get the fluff out of a fan properly. So I'm going to move that to one side. I'm going to clean that. And I'll be back. Okay, so over here is around, look at that, look. See, just a little bit of TLC and they're fine, brilliant. Okay, before we go in there any further, we're gonna go to here and we're basically going to undo these 2 screws on the top. And have a little look inside here. I expect it again to be exceptionally dusty. That one's not doing a lot, is it? So we'll investigate that in a minute. So that is that side. It's that side. Okay, here we go. I think we know what we're going to see. Wow. So this is amazing, because this has kept running this. Okay, and if you look at this, if I can pull it out without doing any damage to the photocell, look, you tell me how that boiler's still running. If I do that, look, you can see it's clear now. Okay, so very clearly that just kept running. I can't believe it. That's fantastic. And there is a bumblebee that's come out as well. Brilliant.
Oh, that's sad.
Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look in here. I'm going to clean all in here. I'm going to look for cracks across the transformer here, here, and here. I'm going to look at the HT leads. It looks to me like it's had a little repair on there. That's on the main leading, so I need to investigate that. Check all the HT leads. Clean all in here, and I'll be back because you don't know what we're doing it because it'll be boring. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so as you can see, it's a lot better now. There you go, Isabel. See, lovely. Okay, that was just a squashed cable before. That hasn't actually got, it's actually fine. So we're gonna just like put that back. Now, just the difference between the Monoflame and the minor one. On the minor one, you have a little cut out piece of like rubber there, which obviously seals that. You don't on these. Anyway, so you're just gonna do that. Turn that over. The reason that's got nipped is because there's a little cut out there. That's got to go in there like that. And then under there like that. And that's it. Okay, so we're just going to do them up. Without over tightening it, because it's got a steel screw into some aluminium. Okay, that's fine. I'll get the other one. It had a load of dirt in there, so I'm hoping we're going to be able to do something with that. Yeah, that's gripped, perfect. Okay, so that's that part done. We're now going to go to the blast tube. Okay, so you've just got one there and one there. I think they're 3mm. We're going to undo them. We're going to pull the blast tube off and we'll be back. Okay, so here we go. Oh, as we can see, we're just as dusty in there, all behind there, on the back of there as well. So I do need to give all that a good clean out. Okay, which is not ideal. You've got individual electrodes here. It's fine if they work, it's absolutely no problem at all, but they're not like that anymore. You can buy a conversion kit and it's like a little plate that goes across there, and then it's an electrode block that goes across there, which are pretty good. But these will be fine when I've cleaned them up. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to clean all around this nozzle, clean all up this nozzle holder, stick a new nozzle in it, and then that'll be all nice and clean, and I'll show you me putting it back together. Let's get on with it. Okay, so I've cleaned that, so I'm now ready to take the nozzle out. If you look down there, I'll get a screwdriver. There's a bar there, and that clips into like a little bit that sticks out on the body. That must stay in there because that's the position of it. So a good way to get the nozzle out on these, because you've got nowhere to grip it, if you put there and you push against the bar like so, and then go like that. That's it. Simple as that. Right, get a bit of tissue under there so no oil comes out. That hasn't been done for a long time, look at that. Filthy dirty. Okay, so we'll just double check they had the right nozzle before. Yes, they did. Okay, so I'm just going to come back with a new nozzle and we'll put it in and we'll be back again. So that's done. That's nice and clear in there now. That's nice and clear in there. If you look in here, there's a little flat on that. Okay, actually, before we do that, if you grab that and go left and right and squeeze it, you've got to make sure this bit doesn't move away from this bit because they can come unwelded, but this one's fine. And also make sure there's no damage on these fins, because as the air goes through, it swells around and that gives you a good flame, but that's fine. Anyway, back to this. That bit flat there, that goes under there, on there. So we spin it over, we line it up. Oh, still a tiny bit of dirt there, Isabel. There we go. It can be quite tricky to do. Like so. So it should sit like that. Now if that's wrong, the electrodes will touch the inner part that you can't see, and then it won't fire, it won't spark and fire. Okay, but that's exactly right there. So I'm going to do the 2 little free mills up, which are down here again, like I said. And then once I've done that, I'll be back to you and we'll get on with the motor. Okay, so the customer has decided he actually wants a motor rather than bearings, which is fair enough if you want to do that. Okay, so we're going to turn it over, and we've got 1 screw here, and we've got 1 screw there. Okay, so we're just going to undo them. These can be a bit tricky sometimes, so take your time. There's 1. And there's 2. Now the fun part of these is I can't remember which one's which. Sometimes you can pull these motors out, and sometimes, and it comes with the fan, sometimes we've got to disconnect the fan. So here goes. Like good, this one's going to come out. So we're just going to turn that over like so. There we go, get the other drive coupling there. That's that, brilliant. Okay, so as you're here, that's very noisy. Okay, so what I'm going to do is now, inside here is a tiny 2.5mm Allen key. Okay, I'm going to go through the hole. There'll be a hole in here. There it is there. Okay, that lines up with the Allen key. I'm going to go through that. I'm going to undo it, and then I'm going to pull that off. Once I've done that, we'll be back. Okay, so I've got the fan off, and as you can see, it's filthy under there. And the fan is also absolutely filthy, which we'll do in a minute. But before we get any further, you have to remember that obviously you need to get inside this part here. And as you can see, all the dirt is in there as well. So you've got to get every single part of it like so. Even under here. Then when you've done that, it's always good just to get a cloth and wipe in there. I usually put a bit of WD on this cloth so it's a bit damp, so it picks up the last bit. It's okay, don't soak it in WD, just put a little bit in there. As you can see, that's it, a bit there. There we go, that's much better. Okay, so we've got all that dirt there, look, Isabel, you see. Okay, so over to the fan. We always say to people who are making sure you clean a fan, but whenever we've done it before, it ends up we've got a clean fan, but this time we actually haven't. So what we mean about a screwdriver, if you come straight down Isabel and I go down here with the screwdriver, you can see all the dirt, see that there? All the dirt on the fan blades coming off. Okay, and if I do that, you'll see it comes into there.
Wow.
So I'm now, once you've done that, you need to go in at this angle as well and clean it like so. Okay, and what you'll find, it just keep coming off into there. There's a lump that just come off, look. Okay, so I need to go around and clean all that, so take a note of that, how it is. I'll clean it and I'll be back shortly. Okay, so we're now back to do the motor. This is the next bit. So on these motors, I've just wiped here. You have to undo these 4 screws here, and then they basically line up with the 4 screws that are on this motor, okay, when that goes back. But we have to make sure when we take it off that that lines up with that. So that's where the capacitors are, to make sure it's correct to when it goes back on again. Now these are normally really tight. That one's gone okay. That one hasn't. So what we do is you sort of hold the screwdriver and give it a sharp bang like so, and then once you've done that, it still doesn't undo, so we have a problem with that one. Okay, so let's try the others. That one's gone. That one's gone. So we got that one. I'm going to keep messing around with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get Isabel to get off this camera. I'm going to get her to hold it. I'm going to stick that on there. I'm going to tap that. I'm going to turn it and it's going to undo. Then we'll be back again. Okay, so we've got them out, complete with hurting Isabel. Sorry, Isabel. You need to get stronger, girl.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so we're going to line these up so they line up in the same place. We're going to lift. We're going to go over. We're going to go on. And we're now going to do them 4 up. Once we've done that, we're going to just flick down here. There's a little clip here. We're going to give it a little flick. And a little clip down there, we're going to give it a flick, and the control box comes off. Okay, so on here, on the burner motor itself, you've got, let me just look on the control box here, it's pin 3 is the live and then neutral and earth. Okay, so I'm just going to swap the wires over. We all know how to swap wires over. If you wonder what these ones are here, that's just the live into the boiler. They're so over the top. Okay, or into the Stanley even. We'll do them when we get back inside, which obviously you won't see. Right, so I'm just going to swap this over now, and once we've done that, we'll be putting this fan that's nice and clean back on again, and we'll be putting that back together, and we're nearly there. Okay, so motor's wired in, so we've got the little Allen key just there, and that lines up, which is around there, the flat bit on the motor. You push it until it touches, you back it off 1/2 mil, and then we go through there and we do it up. Once we've done that, we'll spin it and make sure it's okay, turn it over. You haven't got to watch us do it. We'll screw it back in again, and then we'll be back. Okay, so nice and quiet now, which is exactly what we want. That's fine. Okay, so we're going to put this back in now. Now, just to let you know, on these, it's a solid piece of plate here. On the Monoflame, sorry, on the Ecoflams, this plate moves, and it's really common for them boilers to soot up that have got that burner on. That's because these get stuck. So whenever you do them, make sure you lubricate the little bit that's across here, and then the flat moves then. So it's just a little trick from me there, really. Okay, so we're going to push that back in. I'm going to straighten it up. Okay, when you've done that and it's in place, turn that, make sure it doesn't catch, because that's very close to the plate, which it doesn't. And then we're going to put 2 screws back in. Then we're going to get this. We're going to put that back with the 3 screws. When we've done that, we're nearly there, apart from the control box. We'll be back. Okay, so we've got the drive couplings in there. You see the flat inside the drive coupling against the flat on the pump. You basically line it up, and hopefully you drop it in, away you go. So before you go any further, it's always good before you do it up to line up and put the swerve wheel on first. Oh, my glove is split, Isabel.
Yes, because you've been working so hard.
Yes, like that. And we do it up. Like I've said, please watch these nuts. It's not tight, I'm just feeling it in. Okay, so once it's done, just make sure that the pipe is going in square, because that makes a massive difference. So we're just going to nip it, like so. That's done. Once we've done that, Allen key again, and these don't have to be tight. Nip. So obviously we don't need to check the capacitor because it's brand new. It's a brand new motor. But if you want to know how to check a capacitor, like I told you before, we do have a short for it. Okay, so like so. Okay, so the last 2 things I've got to do now is I've got a new one of these to put on, which I'll do in a minute, which is going to go on there. Click, and then we're going to turn it over, and we're going to put, rather than having a bit of rope stuck to it, we'll have a nice gasket like there. So there you go, so that is complete. So basically what we've done is put a new motor on it, we've put a new nozzle in it, we've put a new gasket on it, and it's had an amazing clean. Okay, so this bit here is obviously where the oil line goes on here. Okay, which obviously you're not going to see because it's back in the house. We're just going to put the coil on now, like so, and tuck that out the way. And that's it, voila, good to go. back to the van. And that's this week's YouTube vlog. Done, and I hope you bobbers enjoyed it. So there we go. That was a manky red monoflame burner that's come out of a Stanley Cooker. And as you can see, that hadn't been done for an awfully long time. And the trouble with Stanley's is where the burner sits, it just sucks in. There's no balance flue. It's just open to the elements, and it just sucks all the rubbish in, because there are grills at the front of the Stanley Cooker at the bottom, but people don't clean them. It's as simple as that. So there we go. You can see all the parts I changed on it. In particular, I had to end up changing the whole motor, because as you know, the customer didn't want us just to do bearings only. That's fine, personal choice what you want to do. Please feel free to subscribe. As always, we love people that subscribe, and obviously the comments. We love everyone that comments. If you haven't before, please feel free to just go, hey there bobbers, how you doing, and we'll be happy. Anyway, it's supposed to be a bit of a grey weekend this weekend, but whatever you're doing, I hope you enjoy it. Until next time, everyone, stay safe.